world that we had two yeshivas today, Gateshead and Gush. I'm serious. Gimel. I think that's the only thing they have a Tzad Hashem, the Gimel part.
Our Gosha headmaster in school used to say there was a Gosha teacher who taught geography. He said there's two important things you have to know in this school, geography and Gemara. And this is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, Rabbi Say. So today we're going to learn something that we touched upon it in the past. But I think it's a very, I'm very excited about it. But let's see. Look how the Rambam starts Sichos Talmud Torah on page 1. Noshim ve'avodim uktanim p'turim miTalmud Torah. Is that a normal way how to start halachas? What's the normal way how to start? So-and-so is chayim, and then you say it's pater. The before Rambam that asked this kasha, and you compare it to other places. All the halachas he starts who's chayiv, and then he says later on who's pater. But the first word is nashim. It's strange. Where is this? Where does he speak about who's chayiv? Turn the page on halacha ches. What does it say on halacha ches? Kol ish miyisrael. Look at. By the way, look at this one. Kol ish miyisrael chayiv b'talmud Torah ben ani ben ashir ben shalom ben gufoy ben bal yisurim ben bachur ben she'azaken gadol she'tashash kocho afilu haya ani amapanis min hatzedakah u'mechazar al psochim. And what's the last vafilu? Vafilu bal isha ubanim. Interessant. Old, young, poor, mechazar al psochim, and even bal isha mi'iladim ubanim. חייב לקבוע זמן לתלמוד תורה ביום ובלילה, שנאמר ויגיש יום ולילה. So again, the question is, l'chor the Rambam should have started Tichos Talmud Torah with this halacha. Halacha ches. And then say who's potter. But to start who's potter sounds strange and modne. That's what we say in Yiddish. Yeah. Good Sushtel. Very good, Reb Shlomo. So, boys, to answer this question, the way of the Rambam, let's learn together the Hagdama of the Maharal to Drush al Torah, which is page 3-4. Don't worry, we're not going to do all of it, and we're going to do parts, but it's also the Parsha Shavua. So let's call it question number 1, the order of the Rambam, how he starts Hilchos Talmud Torah. Let's go, number 3. B'chodesh hashlishi litzes b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. Yesh lish'ol. Lama nismacha parsha zu el vayishlach Moshe es chosno shekodem lo. I'm going to say, just to show what the Rambam means. Perek Yutes it's a parsha psucha. It starts the parsha Matan Torah. B'chodesh hashlishi. Vayachanu Yisrael ba'al b'midbar Sinai, and then the Parsha Matan Torah. What's the last pasuk of Perek Yud Ches? Vayishalach Moshe et chotno vayilech lo l'artzo. Moshe sent away Yisro. That happened way after Matan Torah, chronologically speaking. Even if you say Yisro came before Matan Torah, Shilucho el Artzo was way after. Rashi says it in a few places. It's not the proper order. It's not the chronological order of the psuk of what happened. It was a year or 2 after Matan Torah that this happened. Okay, so why did the Torah do it that way? There has to be a reason for it. So let's call that. That's a question that we're also going to be dealing with. We'll call it question number 2. That's what he asks here at the beginning of the Akdama. Let's give a look. יש לשאול, למה נסמכה פרשה זאת אל וישלח משה את חוסנו שקודם לה? Why is the parsha Matan Torah juxtaposed to sending away Yisro? ואף למד אמר Yisro קודם Matan Torah בא, there's a מחלוקת לגמרא when he came, שילחו אל ארצו לא היה עד אחר Matan Torah. עד שנה שניס. the second year. And he goes through the cheshbon. So why did the Torah write it as if the Hagdama to Matan Torah is sending away Yisro? Because chronologically, that's not what happened. It's like planting an idea. What is it? We'll skip to the next paragraph. V'nira loymar. Ki parsha zot yi parshas Matan Torah, nismecha el vayishlach Moshe es chosnoi, להורות לנו, כי לישראל בפרט ובעצם נסיח של נסינת התורה בהחלט. Torah was given only to Am Yisrael, ולא לזולוס מעמים. Other nations don't belong there. וכאשר יובן מאמרו, as would be understood from the Dibur again this week's Pasha, אנוכי השם אלוקיך אשר הוציאך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. תלה הדבר of אנוכי והוציא אותם ממצרים. I am your God because I took you out of Mitzrayim. ולא אמר אשר בראתי את כל, או זולת זה מהמעלות היותר קולות ועליונות מההוצאה. How doesn't say אנוכי השם אלוקיך שבראתי שמיים וארץ? Who asked this kasha, Moshe? Who's the first one to ask this kasha? I mean, stop, it's a no-known kasha. אנוכי השם אלוקיך אשר הוציאך מארץ מצרים? Way before, אשר בראתי שמיים וארץ. They're all asking the Even Ezra, the Ramban, they all ask him, but the Even Ezra says, Sha'aloti Rabbi Yehuda Halevi. He's like quoting a conversation they had with Rabbi Yehuda Halevi. How come it doesn't say, Anochi Hashem Barati Shamayim V'Aretz? The Maral is now repeating this question also. Why did you say that? Ela, Shirotza Loima, Achar Shotzis Yisrael Mitzrayim B'Beis Abadim. Since I took you out of Egypt, he Siba Machechat Otchem. לעבוד לי, ושמוכרחים אתם לקבל גזירוסי ותורוסי בעל כוחם. Meaning, of course you could have said that, but why? Because both created Shamayim V'Aretz. That's not unique to Jews. That's for everyone. He wants to point out, you have to become my Avadim, you Jews, because I took you out of Mitzrayim. You owe me one. Meaning there's a chiyuv gobel. What? What? I don't know. I don't know what would have happened. No, good kasha. That's what it is. The Torah is only for Am Yisrael. The Maral says also, by the way, when he offered the Torah to Umm Salem, it's not a real offer. He saw that's not shach. That's how he learns. It grows to Shemperk Samach. Yeah.
What's the chiyuv gobel?
That we will be Avdei Hashem. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, you're my Avadim. You owe to me. Other nations, fine. I created them. You, much more than just create you. I took you out of Mitzrayim. Okay. Let's go on.
Did Yisro not become the Geret Tzedek?
V'rotza HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're going to get to it in a minute. L'zakos is Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why is it so important to say you guys are obligated? לפיכך לא עלה לרצון לפניו דבר שמרו מרצון נפשנו הטוב נעשה. רק יהיו עבודים קנויים לו בהכרח. You guys are forced to do it. It's not just we want it. ולקח כוף עליהם ההר כגיגיס. כאשר דורשם בתחתית ההר לומר, אם אין אתה מקבלים בתורה, שם תהיה קבורתכם. מפני כי היו ביד מצרים שעשו בהם כרצונם. You were before by the Egyptians that could have done with you whatever you wanted. ואילולא שהקדוש ברוך הוא בעצמו כבודו גאלם והוציאה משם, כבר היו מאבדים אותם. If הקדוש ברוך הוא take us out of there, we would have died there. ועושים אותם כלי יחס לשור. ואם לא קיבלו תורתו, אשר בשביל זה הוציאם, הרי היו כאילו עודם במצרים אבודים, ונדחים שם בידי המצרים. Meaning, you guys, if I would have taken you out of Mitzrayim for the purpose of giving you the Torah, you would have died in Mitzrayim. You have to מקבל Torah. לקח כוף עליהם הר כגיגיס, שאם לא יקבלו השם תהיה קבורתו, הרי הם עבדים מוכרחים לו בעל כוחם. והיה בידו לקופו עליהם בשביל כך. You guys have to be עבדים. You owe it to me. By the way, according to this Maral, it's so מיושל, שם תהיה קבורתכם. What does שם mean? כאן, in Mitzrayim. If you don't want the Torah, I would have kept you in Mitzrayim and you would have died there. Sham. Comes up very meduyuk. He doesn't say that point, but comes up very meduyuk. But the Matan Torah has to be done in the oifen of hechrach. Kofa Arkigigis. Goes on the Maral. ובזה יסולק מהדרש הזה מה שהשיבו עליו התוספות. איך יאמר שכוף עליהם הר כגיגיס, הרי כבר אמרו בנפש חפצה נעשה ונשמע. They already want it. Why do you have to force them? You don't have to force a child to eat chocolate. זה לא קשה כלל. מפני כי השם יזבורך גוזר עליהם התורה והמצווס, כמלך שגוזר לעבודה וכלואים לו, אשר על כוחם צריכים לקבל גזרת רבם. הקדוש ברוך הוא wants the Torah to be given in a way of coercion. כי במה שאמרו מרצונם נעשה ונשמע, that they willingly said נעשה ונשמע, בזה לא יעבוד אם לא. That's not your servants. כאשר בחינה זו אפשרית ומצויה, גם בזולת מעבדים. Also, if you're not an Eved, you could say that. אמנם במה שכפה עליהם ההר, הם העבודים מוכחים קנויים ומיוחסים אליו. So what's the Maral saying? Matan Torah has to be done in the oifen of hechrech. Where did the hechrech start from? Yitzias Mitzrayim. Yisro was not in Yitzias Mitzrayim. So he doesn't belong to this whole Mahalach. So he doesn't belong in Matan Torah. That's what he's going to go and say. Let's go on a little bit. And then he has another point. Let's go on where we stopped. Okay. We could skip a few lines. Lekach in the middle of the line. Like in line number 8. There's a sentence. A dot. Lekach kof alem har lasatam utzuvim mochim voisim. HaKadosh Baruch wants it to be forced. But then he adds, nevertheless, Achrei hechach kabbalas geras hamelech, after forcing them, מה טוב ומה נעים ומעולה ביוסר, כאשר העבד מקבל גזרה הכרחית האם ברצונו הטוב. גם כן. It's great if you also want it. ועושה אותו מאהבה. כאשר אז לא יוכל להחזיק טוב לעצמו מה שעשה זה ברצונו. Meaning that it's fine. You're already an Eved, and now you want to do it, and now you want to also want it, fine, but don't think you're the one that's obligating yourself, because you're obligated anyway. What?
Is not Tosa's answer there the Kima of the Kidma that they know to do for Al? Right, is not the same thing? Tosa says there.
No. Who says that?
We're going to come there.
Who?
Tosa's and Daf Peicher.
No. He says that's what Tosa says. Kima the Gemara says.
Yeah, but there's no.
Okay, we'll look it up later. Let's go on the side. Okay, so what does the Maral say? Because Baruch wants you to be forced. Because Baruch wants you to be forced. Okay? So Matan Torah has to be done through coercion. Coercion? That's the word in English? Coercion. Pronounce it right? Coercion. But also you should want it at stage 2. Why not? Okay? נדבר לך גם כי יתרון לא שייך מבחינה זאת, שלא הוציאו ממצרים, ולא תהיה לו קבלת תורה, כי אם רצון עצמאי. מה שאין דעתו יסבוך נויכה בזה כנזכר. What does he say? So how can the pasuk start, it ends, the previous pasuk, Yisro sent away? To bring out, it sets the tone. He was really sent away later. But the point is, to make even an optical illusion is important. Torah belongs only to those who are be'etzem mechuyev. And they're mechuyev because they come out of Mitzrayim. Yisro did not come out of Mitzrayim. Okay? And since Yisro didn't come out of Mitzrayim, he's a ger, he doesn't belong in Matan Torah. Matan Torah is not for ger. Gerim could join later, but not Matan Torah. Matan Torah has to be done behechrach. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it. Why behechrach? That you should think that you're free and you can do it. It was just you decided to accept it. It's muchach. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the atmosphere of Matan Torah to be done, and Yisro doesn't fit into it. So therefore, Matan Torah starts with sending away Yisro. Can anybody answer why the Rambam therefore starts Hichos Talmud Torah with the words Isha? What's the word again? Nashim. He starts Hichos Talmud Torah with what you potter. He's echoing the Torah. The Torah did it that way. The Torah started with Yisro and then gets to the Basha. And I remember hearing from Rabbi Moshe once, a lot of times the Rambam is echoing the Psukim. The Psukim were done that way, the way the Maharal explains it. Matan starting with Yisro is not part of it.
Isn't that rubbing his face in a bit?
What?
Isn't that rubbing his face in a bit?
Isn't that?
Rubbing his face a little bit.
Could be. But anyway, I'll go upon him. Fine. Fine. But anyway, we're speaking of Lumdus. We're speaking of Lumdus here. They love this, the concept. Torah is extremely, meaning, that's what the Torah meant. So the Rambam is following the root of the Torah. And he's starting Hilchos Talmud Torah with who's Potter, because the Torah did it that way. That's what I would like to offer. But that's a side point. What?
Because Somar the base Yaakov is like in Yisrael.
But that's already about the Torah start already.
Right?
Yeah, that's already what Perek Yud started. Perek Yud Ches ends with sending away Yisro. That was the point of the morale that he asked.
But Yisro was there because this.
Even if he was physically, he wasn't in Matan Torah, he was in another place. He didn't stand with us. Also, the Arab Rav didn't stand with us. Okay? I'm just pointing out, okay, that's, what do I see from the Rambam that's very important for our Hemshech today? What do I see from the morale? That what does the Kodesh Baruch Hu want? What we spoke already once, you got to do mitzvahs and everything because you're mechuyev. If you'll enjoy it and also have passion for it, that's lovely and brilliant, like they say in England. I never got a clear definition when you say lovely, when you say brilliant, so I always say both, to be yotze ala shittas. It's lovely and brilliant. But it's like tefillin. Tefillin will be a classical example. We put on tefillin because Kodesh Baruch Hu told us. You also have a geschmack out of it. You also have a passion about it. You also got into it. Great. But that's Shlav Bet. In Hanof there was Shlav Aleph and then Shlav Bet. That's Shlav Bet. But the meaning, the crux of Torah is Hechvach. Exactly. Mitzvahs Avnei, the same idea. Mitzvahs we're not given for oil. Again, and Yisro doesn't belong to Matan Torah because he's not part of the Hechvach part. And you got to be muchach when you come to Matan Torah. Of course, Mat Tov Manoim. What was the lashon of the Maharal? What was his lashon again? Mat Tov Manoim. If you do it on your afterwards, you have a miltzai. That's beautiful. But remember, you're an evet that has ratzon. That's what you are, not a volunteer who has ratzon. You are an evet that's doing it for ratzon. Kapish? Rabbi say. But the Maharal of this week's Parsha says there are 3 mitzvahs which should not be done that way. 610 mitzvahs should be done that way. Which way? I do it because Kodesh Baruch Hu told me. I'm an Eben, I'm a Chuyev. Stage 2, you want to do a Hidur by having a passion? That will be lovely and brilliant. That will be very nice. But remember, it's a far stage 2. Stage 1 is 25 kilometers. You're an Eben. Stage 2, you also have a passion for it? That's lovely. There's 3 mitzvahs, says the Maharal, that the passion has to be already in stage 1. A hybrid. Inside. What's the chiyuv? And it has to be together. Okay. That's a chiyuv gomer. Where does it say that? So let's see. Let's see the Maharal. Maharal hu chazak mod. Hu chazak mod. Rabbi said, this pasuk you don't see the beginning of it, but let's look at our chumash. We have a chumash here. Give a look. In Perek Chav pasuk Kav Beis. What does it say in Perek Chav pasuk Kav Beis? V'im mizbach avanim taseh li. It's one before the last. If you make a mizbach, Perek Chav pasuk Kav Beis. V'im mizbach avanim taseh li. Im sounds like it's not compulsory. What does Rashi say? Look at Rashi pasuk Kav Beis. No, Rashi pasuk Kav Beis. V'im mizbach avanim. Rabbi Yishmael Omer. Kol im v'im shebatoyer reshus. Chutz megimel. V'im mizbach avanim taseh li. Hari im ze meshemesh b'lashon kasher. When? וכאשר תעשה לי מזבח אבנים, לא תבנה אותה גזין. שהרי חויבה לך לבנות מזבח אבנים, שנאמר אבנים שלמות תבנה. וכן, עם כסף תלווה, חויבה הוא, שנאמר בעבד תביתנו. ואף זה משמש בלשון השם. וכן ואם תקריב מנחס ביקורים, זו מנחס העומר, שהיא חייבה. ועל כוכך אין אם אין עננו תלויים אלא בדוין. ובלשון כאשר הם משמשים. Says Rabbi Shmuel, there are 3 ims in the Torah which are different. It means when. It doesn't mean if. Because it's a chiyuv gomer. Asks the Halik Maharal, so why does it say im? Why? Why does it say im? Yeah? But like every time. Yeah? That's his question. A straightforward question. And look what he's going to answer. We're on page 5 in our little booklet here. Look what, let's see Divrei Elokim Chaim of the Maharal. ובלשון כאשר הם משמשים, יש לפרש. מה שכתב לשון אם, אבל גם דוחוי בהם. So why does it say im? And I'm already telling you now, you know what I was going to answer? HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to do it as if you're not obligated. Totally on your free will. But you are obligated. Yeah, but if you just do it because you're obligated, you're going to miss it. All 610 mitzvahs, other ones, that's the way how to do it. You're obligated. Tefillin. You're obligated. Chiyuv gomer. And we're going to put on tefillin tomorrow morning, Yitzhak Hashem, because we're obligated. You also get a kick out of it? You like the tefillin shiriyah, the tefillin shirosh? Wonderful. But you're doing it because you're obligated? Also, if you enjoy it, that's just fantastic. 3 mitzvahs, not like that. If you do it because you're obligated, you're going to miss it. Do it as a im. And what are the 3? Let's go on. We'll start again. יש לפרש, מה שכתוב לשון אם, אבל גם דוחוי בהם, מפני שאם יעשה מחויבה, if you're just going to do it because you're obligated, כאילו בקיים גזירת המלך, because you're fulfilling the decree of the king, אין הדבר לרצון לקדוש ברוך הוא. That's not what הקדוש ברוך הוא wants. Even though כופר כגיגיס, not on these 3. וצריך שיעשה ברצונו. He should do it on his free volition. ואז כשיעשה ברצונו, הוא מרוצה. That's what Hashem likes. והמעשה שהוא הכרחי וחובה, אין צריך להביט על שום טעם. Meaning, if it's just because you're obligated, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to internalize it. הכל מקיים גזירת מלך. Right? ואם עושה אלו 3 דברים, כאילו מקיים גזירת המלך, if he'll do these 3, because the king obligated him, אין זה דבר. It's not what Hashem wants. Why? כי אם בונה מזבח, שזהו עבודו שיזבח להקריב עליו, it's a place where you worship Hashem, ומקיים מכוח גזירת המלך בלבד, and he's worshiping Hashem because Hashem told him only, אין זה avoida. That's not called avoida. We're now on page 6. כי avoida צריך שיהיה עובד לו ברצונוי, ואז נקרא עובד. אבל אם הוא מוכח, אין זה עובד. So says the Maharal here, you say. And there's 2 ways of to explain it. And we're going to, okay. What doesn't appear in the footnotes, I'll tell you orally. Avoid is a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you're doing it because he told me, that's not called a relationship. Relationship has to take 2 sides. And if you say, I don't know what he wants, but he told me to do it, so I'm doing it because he forced me, so I'm going to do it. That's only one-sided. Relationships do not work when they're one-sided. Relationship means mutuality, not unilateral, bilateral. And if you're going to do the avodah, and the mizbech is where they, I'll give you an example, the word Maharal says that. I remember when I was in yeshiva, as a bacher, one of the bachim asked the Rosh Yeshiva, he says, I never had a girlfriend, I have had a few sisters, what do you speak in Cheder Yichud? What do you talk about? So the Rosh Yeshiva tell him how much you like her. So he wrote down the notes, and then he read out in the Cheder Yichud, I love you very much. But he's reading a note. That didn't go down well. Love has to come from inside. You're reading a note from your Rosh Yeshiva, what to say? The Maharal says the same idea, by the way, in Derech Chaim, Perek Bet Mishnah. Preferably, he says, not to daven with a sinner. If you want to have kavanah without a sinner, so take a sinner. If you don't know the nusach, take a sinner. But otherwise, well, you're reading out. You should be mischanim with your heart. Pour out your heart. When you're reading from a book, that's the Maral Shita. And tefillah is avodah. Another form of avodah. Avodah has to be your heart. If you just do it because he told me, that's not called avodah. Okay, there's another way to explain the Maral, that if your heart's not involved in it, so one of the most important aspects of your personality are not involved. That's not called the Eved. But let's go on. V'chen, that's like a im mizbach havanim, right? V'chen.
You are reconciling two concepts.
I'm sorry?
You're reconciling two concepts. One concept is a chiyuv, but it's a very different relationship. But it's a chiyuv, but it's a relationship.
But if you do it only because of Chiv, you killed it. That's his point.
You're saying if you
Let's go on. I'm going to make sure we got it. If you do it, very simple. If you do it only because of Chiv, it's not enough. It has to be Chiv and a Ratzon. That's like what says Im. Okay? V'chen im yilva kesef. The purpose of giving a loan is to perpetuate unity in Am Yisrael, as we learned many times. How do you say a loan in Hebrew? Halva'ah. Look at the rule. What does halva'ah mean? To a company. I'm with you. My money's with you. We're one. How do you say it in English? A loan. And how do you say it in Hebrew? You're not alone. So it's spelled different, but it's the same gematria. Okay? Good. וכן אם ילווה כסף, כאילו מקיים גזירת המלך, אין זה מצווה. That's not what Hashem wants. כי צריך שיהיה מצווה הלוואה ברצונו בלב טוב. כי תכתיב אף נסינה ולא יראה לבבך. It's to perpetuate unity of Am Yisrael. That has to be from the heart. Again, it's a relationship between fellow Jews. Relationships cannot be done because I'm forced. It just won't go. And the third mitzvah. וכן הקרובס האומר, שציווצה התורה שלא לכל חדש עד הקרובס האומר. ופרשו רז"ל, כי הוא יזבורך מעלה עננים, ומוריד גשמים, ומפריח טללים, ומצמיח האדמה, ומדשן הפירות, ואנו נותנים לו שכרו, אוימר הקורבן. אוימר is a thanksgiving offering to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for all what you bestowed upon us. We're not going to start eating the new fruits till we bring the oimer. And what are we thinking about? The rain, the clouds, the growth, everything. וכל זה להודיע שהוא ידבח אשר יצמיח לפירות ונתן לו הכל. וזה צריך להיות double live, to be thankful. It has to be from your heart. לא כמלך מסע בדם המכריח את האדם שיודע במלכותו. I force you to thank me? It's futile. What's the word? Yeah. אבל צריך שיודע בליבו שמאיתו מידו נתן לו. ואם הוא מקיים את המצווה כאילו הוא מוכח מגזירת המלך, אין זו הודעה שהוא יזבח עשה את הכל. Again, like they say, you got to say it yourself. Why can't the chazan be more to you? Says Abu thank you, don't send a shaliach. It has to be you. Me'ed says the Oimer is that. Now, of course, you could ask at it. And Avos Hashem, the Shlomo said before, doesn't that have to come from your heart? So how come there it doesn't say Im? The Im Hafta? Why did the Maral pick these three? I don't know. I don't know why Dafka these three. But what's miyuchad about these three? Relationships and expressing yourself. And therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, all other mitzvahs do because of a chiyuv. Yes, I want you to do it that way. I was kafahar kigiyis. I asked Yisro was mentioned that he left, even though he left much later, to bring out he doesn't belong to this because he's not in the chiyuv. The other 610 mitzvahs do as a mechuyev. As a second layer, which will come many years later even, you should have also a passive. Why not? Not so these three. These three, you got to do it already from the beginning, as if you're not obligated. Of course you're obligated, but as if. It has to be from the beginning a hybrid of commandment and passion. And if you do it only because you're commanded, you killed it. Therefore, here the Torah Kedusha says in even though it's totally mandatory. It's a Gavaldiga inside of the world. But that's how he's explaining Rabbi Shmuel. It's about relationships. Rabbi Isai, I have, according to what we're learning today, Give a look a second at footnote 234. One second. I'm just finish this point, and then we're both here. Give a look at 234. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but he's speaking about avoida, the karbanis. Two lines before the end, on 234. The line starts Lalan Pagnavet Reshin Duchet. Omnam Adayin Tzachmil on page 6. 2 lines before the end of 234. Omnam Adayin Tzachmil. מדוע נאמר אם בקשר לבניית המזבח ולא בקשר לקורבנות עצמם? הרי עיקר העבודה הוא בהקרבת הקורבן ולא בבניית המזבח. The avodah is the korbanos. וקושיה זו הקשה גורם בבראשית פרק ב' התקפה לדברי שם. ותירוצו שם לא שייך לכאן. בצורך here. I remember I asked this question to Rabbi Yonatan David also. He said he doesn't have shot. If the idea is avodah has to be done with a passion, as if you're not obligated, avodah is the korbanos, not building the mizbeach. The Maharal himself asked this kasha in Breshis on under Risha. It says that he was created for the Mokom Mizbeach. They'll have a kapara. That's the Maharal. Forget about Mizbeach. It's about korbanos. It's not the Mizbeach. And over there he answers one. That there's one help here. But boys, I think I have an answer today, thanks to the Olam. You know what it says when a person divorces his first wife? The last Mishnah Gittin? Mizbeach morid elav dvoros. Right? Why Mizbeach? What? It's Yadua that once someone was divorcing his wife. They said, don't you know it says in the Mishnah, Mizbeach morid elav dvoros? The altar cries. He says, I prefer the altar will cry than I'll cry. Like it's a joke. I prefer the Mizbeach crying than I'm crying. But you know what the Maharal answers there? The Mizbeach is the mokum of a relationship between us and Hashem, which is compared to Ish v'Isha. Yes, the avoida is the korbanos, but if it's just the korbanos itself, it's a one-time thing. It's a one-off. You do it in a mokum kavua, that makes it a relationship. A kviyas mokum. That's why it's a mizbeach. The mizbeach on its own for sure is not enough. It's like we learned what's korban pesach with Mila. But just the korbanos, and if we're speaking about a relationship, you see that when it comes to husband and wife, it doesn't say a korban morid elav dvoros. It says mizbeach morid elav dvoros. The Mishnah Daf Tzadik. Okay? So again, if we're speaking about the relationship point, the mizbeach makes it a kviyas of a couple. That's where they meet. Of course, we're both what we asked before.
If you look on Rashi in the last example that the Mechilta brings
Yeah.
in Takrim Melech and Takrim Nikurim in Vayikra.
Yeah, Rashi brings another one. It's the fourth one.
Yeah.
Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah. The Maharal asked it. The Maharal, how about you? The Maharal speaks about it.
It's not the fourth.
No, Rabbi Shmuel doesn't. He explains the Akram. Rabbi Shmuel didn't count it.
Okay, there's not. It doesn't show that what he says here.
No. He's before his seconds to it.
Okay.
You look it up. You have the set. I'm sure at home. You look it up.
Or in Maseh.
What?
I look in Vayikra or in Maseh.
In Vayikra. In Vayikra, I think. Or there maybe Masay. Okay, I'll say. So meanwhile, it's great. Fine. Kishmak Maharal? Yeah. There's 3 mitzvahs. If you do it just because Hashem told you, you're missing out. He says these 3. Therefore, the Torah Kedusha said im. So to speak, you're not obligated. So why are you doing it? Because you want to. Of course you're obligated. It's a chayva. But it's phrased with the word im, that Kishmak was sending here a hidden message. This do as if you're not obligated. If you do it because you're obligated, it's like that yeshiva guy reading from the note to his wife, I love you. That doesn't go well. Afkadoritz can I tell the young couple. Everybody understands this on his own. It's a lama nikra svaro. Okay. But here comes something which is super duper gishmak. So all the mitzvahs have to be done with a chiyuv. And then passion later on. 3 are an exception. Really? Let's give a look now on page 8. On page 8, with the number 8. Look at the Gemara.
I was going to ask, can you be Yovel
basically Shema B'Tel B'Havta Hashem Elokecha B'Kol Ha'olam?
No, you have to say after.
Yeah,
It's a chiv gomer.
yeah, so that's a fourth.
But it doesn't say they're im.
Yeah, but it says
No. So we'll talk about it. How come it doesn't say im there? We asked the question before. How could Levi doesn't say im? It should say im after Hashem Elokecha. It doesn't say it. Okay, Rabbi say, give a look between the arrows, but look at the Gemara first. Tana dvei Rabbi Yishmael, divrei Torah, lo yuolech, the small print, right, in the little box, by the arrow. Divrei Torah lo yuolech ha'choyma. Don't do it as mandatory. V'yat rasha liftor etzlamen. Different pshat to explain this mimer. But what does it mean? So look how the Maral explains it. נראה פירושו, שאל יעשה אותם כאילו היה חויבה. ואם כן לא ילמד מאבא. Then you won't learn from אבא. אבל יש ללמוד מאבא. כאילו אין עליו חויבה. רק בשביל שהוא אוהב את התורה. ומכל מקום, אי אתה רשאי להיפטר מהם. Don't say, well, if I'm not in the mood, I'm not going to learn. שלא תאמר כי מחר שאין לה חויבה, אפשר להיפטר מהם. כי אין אתה רשאי להיפטר. כי שניהם ביחד הם בתורה. You need both when it comes to Torah. כי מצווה השם ישמח על האדם, ולכך אי אתה רשאי להיפטר מהם, הקדוש ברוך הוא told you, ומצד האדם יש לו ללמוד מאבא. וכל זה כי התורה מן השם ישמח על האדם, ומצד הנויסן הוא השם ישמח, אי אתה רשאי לפתור ממנה. It's an order. ומצד המקם על האדם ידבק בו לגמרי וילמד מאבא. ואם לא ילמד מאבא, לא ידבק לגמרי בתורה, ועל ידי אלו שניהם נאמר לאהבת השם לוקח לו דווקא בוי. Which mitzvahs the Maral is talking about here? All mitzvahs? Talmud Torah. The learning of Torah. He's saying again this idea of both. That's what he's saying. What does it mean? Exactly the same point. You got to do it for both. If you do it just because of a choiva, it won't happen. You have to love the Torah. You right? Lo yilmad me'ava. So it comes out we have a fourth mitzvah called Talmud Torah. Why is Talmud Torah have to be done this way? Rabbi say, look at page 9. We're going to skip what Rav says in Bet. Rabbi say, I'm sure you heard of it. The famous Hagdama of the Egli Tal. I'm not going to even ask you if you heard it, because for sure you did. The Egli Tal is a Sefer Hilchos Shabbos. The one who wrote it was the Sochet Shomer Rebbe, a Goin Olam. And he wrote a Hagdama, I'm going to share with you now, that on this part said the Chazon Ish, Spitz Litvish. This is, even though he's a Rebbe. I promise you heard it. If you don't remember, because you just maybe forgot. This is so popular and known. The Hagdama of the Egli Tal. Catch anybody that you know who's a half a Talmud Chacham and ask him, do you remember the Yisro of the Egli Tal as Hagdama? Yeah, for sure. What does it say, the Egli Tal? ומדי דברי זוכר אסכול, מה ששמעתי קצת בני אדם טוען, מדרך השכל מן המתורה הקדושה. ואומר כי הלומד ומחדש חידושים, ושמח ומתענג בלימודו, אין זה לימוד תורה כל כך לשמה. כמו אם היה לומד בפשיטוס, שאין לו מהלימוד שום תענוג, והוא רק לשם מצווה. אבל הלומד ומתענג בלימודו, הרי מתערב בלימודו גם הנוס עצמו. Says the Sochet Shomer, I hear people saying, you're in a higher madrega if you learn Torah and it's boring, and it's dry, and it's not geschmack, and you still do it, that's lishma. But if you enjoy it, you come up with chidushim, and you're dancing in the streets, that's not so much lishma. You enjoy it. Better that should be boring, routine, redundant, dead. Then it's lishma. Says the Egli Tal, that's a terrible mistake. Ube'emet, we're now in the fourth line of the Egli Tal. Zetot mefusam. It's a big mistake to say that. And on this, said the Chazon Ish, we're going to say now, Shpitz Litvish. Ve'adarabba, on the contrary, כי זה היא עיקר מצווה לימוד תורה, להיות שש ושמח ומתענג בלימודו. ואז דברי תורה נבלעים בדמו. That's when the Torah gets swallowed in your blood. ומאחר שנהנה מדברי תורה, when you enjoy it, הוא נעשה דבק לתורה. And then he says, עין פירוש רש"י, סנד, דוחת המודד, דיבור מתחיל בדבק. You know what he means? He's a Hasidic Rebbe, so he's hinting to it. You know what it says there? I looked up the Rashi. It says in the pasuk, "V'dovak be'ishtoi v'lo b'zochar." From here we know that other Mishnah was commanded not lo b'zochar. How do you see v'dovak be'ishtoi v'lo b'zochar? You know what Rashi says? By these things, what happened by two men? Eina nishkav nene. There's no enjoyment to the nishkav. The lekat vekus. That's what Rashi says. That's what he's referring to. If there's no hana, there's no vekus. How do you want to be dovik the Torah if there's no vekus? If there's no hana? That's what he means. Look up the Rashi. They will see what. That's the sense he said right before. Without hana, there's no vekus. That's that Rashi. But dovik mishta v'lo b'zochar. Because zochar eina nishkav nene. That's not Rashi there. Peter Floyd. To learn Torah without hana, it will never become a part of you. ובזוהר הקודש, בין יצר טוב ובין יצר רע אינם מתגלדים מתוך שמחה. יצר טוב מתגלדם מתוך שמחה של תורה. That's what Zohar Kodesh says. The יצר טוב will be reinforced if you're happy. יצר רע, whatever. ואם אמר שהידי השמחה שיש לו מהלימוד נקרא שלא לשמה, או על כל פנים לשמה ושלא לשמה, הרי שמחה זו עוד מגרע כוח המצווה. הוא מכה או רע. ואיך יגדל מזה יצר טוב? וכיוון שיצר טוב מתגדל מזה, בוודאי זהו עיקר המצווה. The mitzvah is this combination. Learn it and enjoy it. Umodina, says the Sohar Shamer. He was a guy in Olam. I admit. If someone learns totally nothing to do with God, you know, like he's smoking on Shabbos with a cigarette, but he likes learning. You heard of such kind of example? Like someone eats matzah, Leila Seder, because he likes matzahs. That for sure is not ideal. הרי זה לימוד לשמה וכולו קדוש, כי גם התענוג מצווה. Rabbi say, I promise you, it was kedai if I kept the English just to show this Egletal. It's Moradik. Rav Huda brings a raya that the Egletal doesn't bring. We ask in the middle of Birkas HaTorah v'harevna, make it pleasure and sweet. If that causes it to be second rate, you're asking second rate? If you enjoy it, it takes away from it. So you're asking in the midst of Birkas HaTorah, you're asking I want the second best, not the best. I want to enjoy it. How when you enjoy it, it makes it second rate according to those people? In the middle of Birkas HaTorah, you're asking for Sug Bet? Sug Bet b'Haaretz? Huh? Of course not. It's lechatchila. So boys say, here comes my question. Go back a second to sheet 8. Who's the one talking there? Sheet, go back to sheet 8. Who's the man over there? Rabbi Shmuel! Rabbi Shmuel, you're the one who said it in Rashi, that it says 3 times Im. So Rabbi Shmuel, L'shitaska, why does it say Im by Talmud Torah? You're Mr. Im. You're the way the Oral explained Rabbi Shmuel by us. What's the Im? When it needs that combination of command and passion, it will say Im. Says the Oral that's what Rabbi Shmuel is saying in Menachos. It's Talmud Dvei Rabbi Shmuel. Okay, they Shiva Rabbi Shmuel. That's what he said. Rashi doesn't know like that, but that's what the Maharal there. So I would like to ask Rabbeinu Amaral if this Rabbi Shmuel is saying the same thing what he said in Parshas Yisro. Almost the last Rashi, Parshas Yisro. Over there, it's a Mechilta. And he says, when you have such a kind of mitzvah, it says Im. You're the one that said it. And you're the one that's saying that Talmud Torah is like that. So how can you explain why it doesn't say Im by Talmud Torah? I think it's like Kushya Atsuma. And I'm happy to see the crowd agrees. Look at these faces. Isn't it a super Kishmak Akasha? What do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah? I think it's super Kishmak. I think the Kasha is Im. You know, passion. It so happens to me it's Rabbi Shmuel. If it would be Rabbi Shmuel, maybe he doesn't hold. If it's this kind of mitzvah, you don't say Im. You say Im. I don't know. Gavra Karomis. You ask a Kasha from one Tana to another Tana. It's the same Rabbi Shmuel that said when you have this hybrid from the beginning, the Torah uses the word Im. And then he goes and says that's how you should treat Talmud Torah. Not all mitzvahs. Talmud Torah. As we saw in the Eglei Tal. Rav Hutta goes on to explain it also that the seichel doesn't chap without tainuk. A brain doesn't chap without tainuk. It's like light can't chap without the noise with the ears and the waves. It just won't work. Yes.
The other mitzvahs one can do without it. You can do the Ma'aseh mitzvah. You can burn it without.
Yeah.
The Ma'aseh of Limud Torah doesn't work without having.
I can learn. All right. I'm learning without cheshik. I can do it. Rabbi say, I think I got a very good shmakaterza. But the Olam agrees it's a brand new kasha brought to you this year. The last 2-3 weeks I have this kasha because we're dealing with this sugya already for a while. You're obligated with a passion. All mitzvahs 610 the Mahalad Akdom Tedrush. You do it because you're obligated. Tomorrow morning tefillin because you're obligated, and that's the way how to put on tefillin. If you also have a passion, fine, have it. If not, not. It's mamish a rachik from the Kiyum mitzvah itself. Ma tovu ma naim. Nice. It's nice, but it's not beyond nice. There's 3 mitzvahs that if you don't do it with a passion, you killed it. Says Rabbi Yisro, Menachas Talmud Torah is one of them, and especially with this igli tal. And that's what you're doing. Why doesn't it say about Talmud Torah in? Somebody said, what would you say about the following? I have a question to ask the Jewish people, because this is also on the film, so I'm asking the whole Jewish people. Where does it say the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, the Yishalom Torah? Where is it? The Yibait maybe? It can't be Vakis B'Yom because it's Yeshua. But where does it say in the Chumash? So give a look at the Rambam in letter Gimel. On page 9. Yeah, let's take the Rambam. The Rambam is someone you can rely on. What does he say? Mitzvah Yud Aleph. He shetzimanu lilmod chochmas haTorah ulelamda. We have to learn and teach. V'zeh shenikra Talmud Torah. V'hu omroi v'shinantam levonecha. It's on the bottom of the page of 9. On the bottom of page of 9. Very much to the bottom. V'shinantam levonecha. It doesn't mean ובלשון ספרי לבניך אלו תלמידיך. וכן אתה מועצה בכל מקום שהתלמידים קרואים בנים. That's all the ספרי. ונאמר ושיננתם שיהיו מחודדים בתוך מיכה. כשאדם שולחה דבר, לא תהיה מגמגם לו, אלא אמור לו מיד. The pasuk of Talmud Torah is Vishinantam. That's the teach Torah. But where does it say to learn Torah? I guess if you teach it, you have to learn it before, because otherwise, what are you going to teach? So you got to learn before, because otherwise you'll be stuck. Oh, but we'll sit like this. Teach it. I'll come with my yeshiva shatam. How do you teach? You got to learn before. But yet, so Rav Hutta, give a look at box down, the last one today. ושיננתם לבניך, שיהיו דברי תורה מוכנים בפיך, שאם יש לך אדם, אל תגמגם. The last one on sheet 9. The כמה מן הפלא יש בזה? It's so strange. שחובה זו של מחודדים, אשר עניינה שייך בהחלט לדרך הלימוד, which is about how you should learn. לא נאמרה בגוף מצווה לימוד תורה, אלא שנקבע דווקא במדמי המצווה של ללמד. Muchadadin is how clarity you should have. So why was it said in the pasuk of teaching Torah? I guess when you teach it, Rabbi said, I'll tell you the truth. I don't have an answer for tonight on this question. How come the mitzvah of Talmud Torah wasn't said learn? Why was it said teach? But that's a fact. The Rambam says, what's the mitzvah of learning Torah? Vishinantam, to teach. I would like to offer, when do I say that you need a hybrid from day one, otherwise it won't become a part of you when you're learning Torah? But once you learn Torah and you're connected to Torah, and now you know Torah, to go ahead and teach it is like tefillin. We're back to tefillin. You got to do it because Hashem told you. Not because of your passion. To absorb Torah, you have to have the passion. But once you absorbed it, the halacha is anybody who's a chacham and knows Torah has to teach it to those who don't know. That's halacha. That also has to be with a passion. No, that's like that's like any other mitzvah. That if there would have been a pasuk that spoke about limud Torah, then the kasha Haggadah doesn't say im would have been enormous. I wouldn't have a clue what to answer. Because to learn by yourself, you have to have the passion. and don't do it only because of an obligation. And what's the message for that? Im. That's what the Rabbi Shmuel said on those three. So what about Talmud Torah? He himself says the same idea by Talmud Torah, and there it doesn't say Im. Avel's kasha. But since the facts are, whatever the hesber will be, the mitzvah of Talmud Torah was said by teaching, not by learning. When it comes to teaching, you're back to regular mitzvah. It's like tefillin. It's like a lulav. It's like matzah. It's like a sukkah. Like everything. Then why do you got to do it? Because Hashem told you to do it. Psychologically, if the teacher is inspired, that will inspire the students as well. It's a good tool to get the teacher alive and kicking. But it's not part of the mitzvah. It's a nice tool that the Gemara can tell you also. The Gemara Menachos spoke about the Talmud Torah. The Eglei Tal spoke about how will the Torah become a part of you? How will you be dovik b'Torah? Only if you enjoy it. So to reach that goal of you knowing Torah, you have to enjoy it. And you got to do it from day one, not only because of a commandment. And if you do it only because of a commandment, it won't go. Like the Eglei Tal said. You won't be dvekus. It won't. Fine. If there would have been a pasuk about that, it would have said Im. But there is no such pasuk. And even if it is, we don't count that pasuk. I gotta look around. Even if there is, look, what's the pasuk the Rambam quoted for Talmud Torah? Shinata. As far as I remember, the Chiddush does it the same. But I gotta double check. When you're speaking about, since the Torah phrased it by teaching, we're back to a regular mitzvah. This you do like tefillin. We're speaking about learning. Right? Okay, so there's no steer for Rabbi Shmuel. I'm serious. Is this super gishmak?
If that's the case, why then have women not got that mitzvah?
That's different. That's a different issue totally. I mean, again, it's an important sugya, but nothing related to what we spoke about tonight. How come women are put to Talmud Torah? Good kasha. The Gemara learns it from a pasuk. The Gemara learns it from a pasuk. But what's the svara? I don't know.
No, but if it's Tzvekas, okay.
Men have this mitzvah of dvekus of Torah. Women don't. Why? I don't know.
Ksiva Sefer does the same thing.
What?
Ksiva Sefer does the same thing because it says the kids for Shira Zos, and you can't write to Shira Zos, you've got to write the whole Torah.
Yeah.
It's written in a sort of, you know.
According to that sheet of running a whole Sefer Torah.
Yeah, I'm saying it's also written, not
Okay,
it's similar thing.
I don't think so. The similarity is the thumb.
Yeah,
But the thumb's here about something, and here's the thumb about something else. Gzera Shema, thumb. I get here. But Rabbi said, when it comes to teaching, hey, go teach. Whether you like it or not, you're mechuyev. You know Torah and you're living with people who don't know Torah, you have a chiyuv gomer to go teach them. I'm not in the mood. I don't care. I'm not in the mood to put on tefillin. So what? By the way, even by Talmud Torah, if I'm not in the mood, you should still learn. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want it, then you're doing it just because you're mitzvah. That's the Eglei Tal. V'utos mefursam.
Tzvekas is not by man.
What?
Tzvekas is not by man.
Vekas is what?
Done by man.
Yeah, the mitzvah Talmud Torah. Yeah. The mitzvah Talmud Torah. Mitzvah said the chad. So Rabbi said, therefore, what I had enough from this thing is the kasha. It's both Rabbi Shmuel, in line with what the Maral explained, and it's only a kasha according to the way the Maral understands. That's how I explained the words ims. That's how I explained Rabbi Shmuel and Menachos. You could learn the ims differently, and you could learn the Menachos differently. What?
But it has to be Rabbi Shmuel.
It has to be Rabbi Shmuel. And Tosim Psachim says, in Davdat Amalaf, when it says Dvei Rabbi Shmuel, it's like Rabbi Shmuel. Tosim says, a small little Tosim there. Rabbi Yamin, you hear it? You feel it?
Yeah, wasn't it?
Not yet. What part you don't feel?
To take it in.
What?
Got to take it in. I've got to take it in.
Fine, to process it.
But I'm saying, but Tzvekas for man, you have the
But I don't want to go into that sukkah. It's not my sukkah tonight.
Tzvekas are by man. But the woman, thank you.
What Dvekus can be by women also.
But a man treats a woman, not
We're not speaking about the relationship between them.
You said about why it's from man.
That's Yosef. It's not a sugya. We're not speaking about the relationship between man and woman. I was cautious you're saying that. Man's dafik be'isha, isha's not dafik be'man. I like that. That's not our sugya today at all. Bechlalo. And I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true. But that's not our sugya today. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But I'll go put him on my side. Michal, what do you say?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Well, you know what?
I'm not sure.
About which point?
I'm not sure what to say.
Do you feel simchadik?
The kasha. The kasha is good.
The kasha is
I
gavaldik.
don't understand the kasha.
You know, so the kasha or the teretz?
No, the kasha understands. The teretz,
Okay,
I don't feel it.
fine. I think it's a swerve shooter. Like what Shlomo said, we're back to regular mitzvahs. Teaching Torah, we're back to regular mitzvah. What? You already absorbed the Torah. I'm sorry, I just have this terrible cold that likes me so much it doesn't want to leave. Sorry. You know, when we were teenagers, we used to do litzonos. Let's end with litzonos. I remember when teenagers we'd go, Kia! And then Shmoy B'Truah, that's how we did it. Okay, just to end the Mechusa. But Rabbi Say, I must say that when I was Oyman on the Kasha and the Teretz, I was dancing. What the Egley tells us, and look what Mefutner said. We didn't have a chance to read it. That the brain just doesn't chap, just like the eye can chap without waves, and the ear cannot chap without waves. You know, waves of sound wave. The brain cannot chap without tainuk. It just doesn't work without it. It's pasha a din in the brain. A brain opens up when there's tainuk.
On Purim, I was in Gateshead and I met a Kollel young man. And I asked him, how comes Purim is the month of Kabbalas HaTorah?
Yeah.
He says, straight simple. You can be Makabel B'Torah when you're B'Simcha. You can't be Makabel when you're B'Achos. It's the product of the day that enables it to come about.
Again, you saw the Maral said that Kafar Torah had to be with Kafar Kegigis. We're speaking about the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. But the Torah had to be accepted with a Kafar Kegigis. But nevertheless, it does say, even there it says, also over there it says they were very happy. Interesting, they were petrified and happy. Interesting combination. It says they were shaking in the boots. What? Yeah, Gilu Barada. Very good. Okay, Rabbi, so I want to thank everybody on the behalf of England Jury. Now, first of all, this should be. Does anybody have one which is just one-sided, not two-sided? It always disappears. It's piliploim.
I've got a one-sided one.
You got the one-sided, all the one-sided?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll make a switch because that's part of the original ones. Okay, Rabbi, side. Okay, call to